channeling. What is it and how to do it? On the ego or tan. And this question of ego is an important issue, an issue of great relevance for channels. For it is easy to believe that because one is a channel, then one is a great being. But what is important to recall is that the channel is one whose path is to do this. And you may like to consider that you could judge channels by the nature of the beings that they choose to channel. You could consider that this might be an indicator of the energy of the channel, and this connection between the guide and the channel is an energetic connection, one where the energies are consonant. On dying and reincarnation, or tan. When you die, you don't just disappear into nothingness. This does not occur unless you have a very strong belief that this is what does occur, in which case you could spin for a bit before you are picked up. When you die, there is assistance in the transition. Your guide, of course, you've already connected with. There are angels, there are souls who make a point of being there when people die, so that when the transition occurs, they can gently let an orientation occur. Just as when you go into meditation and you orientate your inner vision, when you die, it is a similar kind of thing. You orientate to your death experience, and you orientate to your beingness without a physical body. You've been in a physical body for a while. You soon will be relieved to be out of it. When you die, you start to feel some joy, real joy, but there will be a time of integration, of resting, quite often for a soul, of lessons to be integrated, of time spent in learning and developing and growing. Not all our growth is done from the earth plane. It can be done without a physical body a lot more easily. And so there is a great deal of that kind of process that occurs after death. And then when you come to the right time, you will be reborn. There is a cycle of coming back into bodies, reincarnation. This is a truth where the soul projects itself once again into manifestation. The soul manifests itself once again into physical reality, whether on the earth or planet, whether it is, but it will take on some degree of physicality to evolve. On enlightenment, or tan. Enlightenment is a natural movement of all sentient beings. It is a natural movement to the light. It is the natural movement as the planet unfolds in the sunshine and flowers. This is the same process for you. As you unfold in the light, you will flower, and that flowering you call on your earth plane enlightenment. The essence of enlightenment is to be completely and utterly clear in all the bodies. Complete clarity, grasping and holding on to nothing, not holding on to your personality, not holding on to your opinions, not holding on to your money or your loved ones, holding nothing, being pure and perfectly centered in heart. Enlightenment will come to all in time. Some have chosen to return as enlightened beings and masters on your earth plane. There are living masters at this time who are enlightened. You can meet them and study with them. You can be with them, and by the resonance of their being, you can start to learn to let go of some of the things that you need to release. You can tune in to the enlightened masters in your meditation, and by reaching to their heart, they will start to teach you. Questionnaire. What do we need to do so that we don't have to keep coming back to this earth? Or tan. You need genuinely and sincerely to desire total service to the light. And through service and unselfish giving and working towards your enlightenment, you will no longer need to return. When you have been through all the lessons, when you have flowered in the light, and when you have served humanity, you will no longer need to return to this earth plane. But service is at the heart of that. And strangely, many of those who do not have to return choose to return again and again as part of their service, beloveds, as part of their service. On past life channeling or TAN, past life influences on a present life can be very deep and very profound, especially if you have had many lives working on this area. What is important, though, to remember is that all you need to know will be here in the present. If you work with a therapist, the past life issues that are informing the present life will come out. They may not come out as past life issues, but you can heal in the present everything from the past. And indeed, you can heal your future too. So just because you are bound in time, it is not something that you will be hindered by your healing or growth. It was a choice you made to live in a universe of this type, bound within this dimension of time, but it does not stop those past life issues and patterns coming up for healing right now. So it is not necessary to spend a lot of money on a past life regression and past life therapy and past life everything. If that were necessary, you would have been given the tools yourself by the divine creator. It is not necessary. All that is necessary is the present healing, and into it will come all that needs to be released. Or TAN. There are several lifetimes that are relevant. We will enumerate just the points, if you like, the highlights. Otherwise, we will be here a very long time, will we not? So let us tune in now. Allow yourself to tune in. Good. Being within the cocoon of light, now we start to move through space and time. We are drawn to a star of such beauty and exquisite blazing light in the sky as we fly through deep space and time, back through the millenniums to this brilliant star of light. You are a child of this star who chose the activation path all those million years ago. We are inside a temple now. All is white. It is almost dazzling. There's so much light in the temple. In the simple, or the center of the temple, is a glowing spear. The spear is quite clear. It looks like clear quartz, but deep in the heart of this spear is a glowing light. The light is radiating from the globe, filling the circular room with light. About this circle are many white columns, and when you look up, there are lots of lights in the mist. You are standing close to the spear. You are wearing a white robe. You are deeply moved. The tears are rolling down your cheeks. You are wearing a single pendant. It too is the shape of the globe, a circle of light, and it too is pulsing light, activated by your heart chakra. Your hands are raised and you are drawing down the energies, activating the globe. You are a channel of light on a distant star. You are alone in the temple. It is your moment of vow. You are taking a vow of service to the light. You are proving to the universe that you are ready by activating the globe. The small globe you carry upon your chest is the miniature version of the activating globe, and the light goes out from that temple, radiating into the solar system. Do you remember this lifetime, dear one? Questionnaire. I am very moved. Or TAN. This is an old memory, very deep within your DNA. The activation of that light is the great importance at this time. For that light is reaching this planet now, and you are channeling it once again. You are connected into the pure feminine energy through this ray. The ray is very special, and the activation is nearly completed. It is most important, dear one, that you continue to develop the work of the feminine side. This is your role as a child in this brotherhood. You are a goddess upon the earth plane. You carry within you the heart of the goddess, of all the light of the feminine. And there is more to this light than just that simple manifestation of the goddess. It is a very complex range of activities now that are needed from you. Allow yourself to stay within the light body as we assist in this final link in with this light. Your heart, the light, is focusing upon you, moving into your light body. The light of that distant star is triggering the codes in your DNA. Dear one, a very subtle and profound activation. Take a deep breath now as you breathe this activation through the physical body, letting it run through the spine and through the nerves of the physical body. As the activation takes place, moving into the heart of every cell, filling it with the light of the star, and your heart is radiating the light of the star. You are the star in human form. You can feel the star at the heart of every cell. Deep in your heart, radiating light now, and feel the final activation of the ajna, third eye or sixth chakra, as you are opening to remembering opening to a being of light, to the third eye, carrying all the memories you will ever need encoded directly into the cells of your body, moving it right now. All right. The remembering, dear one, will come when you need it. Do not try to force the process. This is an energy encoding that you have just experienced. Breathe into your heart now, letting it integrate into the body. You may feel a tingling or a lightness. You are quite safe. All right. Shall we experience a little more now, dear one? There is another lifetime that you need to connect with. All right. You are lying in the dark. Find yourself. It is Egypt. You are deep within the heart of the pyramid, and you have chosen this process of initiation. You lie in the dark for several days. Your breathing is very slow. Your hands are folded upon your chest, and you are holding in your hands an sacred ankh, symbol of life in the ancient Egypt. Upon your forehead is a snake, and around your neck is the sacred necklace of lapis. Your body is very disciplined. It is hard. It is strong. You are very disciplined in this lifetime. Your focus of will is second to nothing. You have great power. You are a servant of the light, and you know it. You have chosen this lifetime to hone your ability to the finest possible point. Your speech is strong. You do not speak that much. Every word is chosen by your will. In the dark, you will wait the activation of your heart and your final initiation into the light. The wait is very long, and you do not care. You know that you will die or you will live, and you do not mind, for there is no difference in your brave heart. But you understand, dear one, that you do not, or that you do find the light. Again, and you understand, dear one, that you do find the light. Your initiation is successful, and you rise to become one who is much respected in that time and within those circles. You are little known beyond the circle of your temple. Your influence is very great, but in a very humble way. You are a person of complete humility, completely dedicated to the service of the light. Your ego does not exist in that lifetime in Egypt. You lived for a very, very long time, more than 100 years. Dear one, and the initiations that you put others through brought them to the light. Although they were hard and you wept much for them, when it came to yourself, you had no mercy. You were like a statue. Although your life, you retain this focus of will, and you choose after that all the incarnations upon the earth plane would be in service to the light. You made a vow once more, but this time you were no longer upon the star. You were within the earth plane sphere. So you renewed the vow from the point of view of mankind. You have had many lifetimes since then, that dim and distant time in Egypt. You have had lifetimes within many magical traditions. You have had lifetimes across many countries on this planet. You have had a lifetime in Australia. You connect in very much with the energy of that. You have had a lifetime learning the Mayan techniques and processes, and you have had a lifetime with the North American Indians. Your training, dear one, has been very rigorous and has reflected the force of your will. For this lifetime, you choose a female body because you felt and understand that it was the feminine energy that was more important, if you like, in the cycle, for it is through the feminine energy that the cycle will be completed. The rule of men is not so long. Men upon this planet at this time are anchors and balances. It is important that there is male energy, but it is women who will take the planet forward at this time. Hence their importance in all the movements upon the earth at this time. On frequency, or tan, for the universe as you know it is made up of energy, and the nature of this energy varies across the fabric of the dimensions. Within the dimensions that you inhabit, the importance of the nature of this energy cannot be overstressed. This energy vibrates at different rates, at different frequencies, and hence the importance of this term frequency and the teachings that we are giving to you from our dimension. For all the difference between everything that exists within your universe is based on this idea of frequency, and you can see in your daily life how one frequency can rise or give birth to another. So let us return to the beginning of this discussion, the nature of the universe. It is such that all that you can see about you vibrates at different frequencies, and you have been equipped with sensory perceptions that enable you to detect these differences in frequency. You are able to see a certain spectrum of frequency, to hear a certain vibratory frequency, to feel the nature of these frequencies through the skin and the touch. And also you have other senses, perceptions, which are developing, which rely on understanding the inner nature of some of these vibratory subtleties, for they move into another dimension which you are starting to perceive. And in your universe, the planet Earth has her own frequency, and she vibrates at a particular rate. And hence you could say that this planet has a song within the spheres, and when you talk to the song of the spheres, you are talking to the vibrations which is given off by discrete planetary units, by discrete things within matter. If you like, your sun too has a particular energy signature which draws us to it, which draws many creatures, many beings of light, and many other beings to it. For this sun signals the presence of you humans, of you intelligent beings present. For the sun, if you like, has called us to be present. For without the sun, of course, you could not sustain life on your planet with your present stage of technology. And indeed, it is possible to use the solar energy to recharge yourselves, and for us also to draw sufficient energy to make the translation into your dimension. And so, as we move from our frequencies into yours, we draw upon this solar energy, and you will find that solar energy is of great importance in many esoteric disciplines upon the earth plane. For this reason, for the frequency of solar energy is the frequency of light and of growth. It is the frequency of assisting others, of service, of love. Whereas the frequency of the moon is more subtle, if you like, we would say a different frequency. And those who worship the moon also are those who can assist others, but they do it in their conservative way. So the moon is a more hidden energy, hidden by the sun's rays and the brilliance of the sun. And so it is no accident that these two bodies look so different. For you see, you are giving these sensory perceptual abilities such as sight to enable you to see that this truly is different. And if you were to listen to them through one of your clever telescopes, you could no doubt be able to find astronomers who would tell you they sound different. And so you are able to look at the planets in a different way now. Look at their songs, and you will see also the importance of frequency of sound on the earth plane. And you will have perhaps only hinted to you of the importance of this so far. For you are now starting to discover that this frequency of sound has much more to offer in assisting others in their change. You are already to use the frequency of music, and the channeled music particularly you find beneficial, because the guide who is assisting the human who brings these frequencies to the earth plane is showing him ways to manipulate sound to take people into other states of consciousness or to enable them to perceive other things. There is also the frequency of other types of things, such as the frequency of thought on planes, dimensions, and working with our thoughts, or tan. There are different planes wherein dwell different levels of being, although it is wrong to assume that everything is ordered and hierarchical. In terms of planes, there is your earth plane, of course, where you dwell within the three dimensions, and there are other planes which resonate at different frequencies, like, for example, the astral plane. Much of that which exists upon the astral plane is created from the earth plane. And this, of course, is one of the reasons that we have said to you that it is important to control the thoughts. For negative thoughts and positive thoughts are not differentiated between, and the energy of thought feeds the astral plane, and these thoughts can form beings upon that plane, beings quite empty beings, not motivated by a soul, but they are motivated by the kind of energy that has formed them. And thus it is a group were to get together and focus upon negative thoughts, they could create some kind of form upon the astral plane. They could open the doorway between the planes and then use that energy to create or co-create difficulties and havoc upon the earth plane. Hence, the importance of forming groups to have positive thoughts to assist in positive growth and to counteract the negativity of these who believe that all is doom and destruction. For indeed, if you all believe this, it will be so. For you create your own reality entirely, and part of this creation process is done by the interaction between the astral and the earth plane, or tan. For the universe is not at all as you think it is, and it is difficult for the human being or the human brain to see quite how the universe and the dimensions are interwoven. And this interweaving causes anomalies to the human brain in the sense that the future and the past do not exist separately, that you could see and live a past life in the future because of the nature of that dimension that you call time. It is not a linear at all. It is very much, as we call it, woven, interwoven along with other dimensions. Questionnaire. So, would people eventually reach where you are through spiritual growth? When you pass over, you go to the realm of spirit, and do you need to keep reincarnating to reach where you are? Or tan. Indeed, it is very much dependent on the individual soul state of evolution, for some souls need to be incarnated upon the earth plane for the particular lessons that they need to incorporate in the energy and for the particular experiences that are indeed for the evolution of that soul. Other souls beyond a certain point will be able to evolve through the dimensions without further rebirth. Other souls again choose to be reborn. They have chosen service to humanity, and they chose to return even though they are enlightened and evolved souls, and they could exist in our realms. Questionnaire. When I am meditating and go to the higher realms, and when I see high beings, there is a great high being that comes to see me, whether it is, again, whatever it is, but they all look the same, and so it is difficult to distinguish and differentiate. Fantastic eyes, very tall, and a lot of light. Ortan, you see, all of this perception of other beings is very, very limited by your physical reality. When we talk of seeing, it is because this is the language of physical reality. We see, again, we talk of sensing. It is the language of physical reality. We do not see in your sense at all in the way that you do. And when you sense us, it is very much bounded by your own brain structure, by your own experience, and by your own expectations. I will tell you a story, dear one, to illustrate this. We have a very dear student who has had many pictures drawn of me, and I have had much amusement with her. And every picture she has had drawn of me has been very different. She has been to many psychic artists on the earth plane. Each has produced a different picture, and she also has another picture of me in her own mind. And as I have said to her, it doesn't matter. I am all of those and none of those. All those beings are all the things you perceive and none of the things you perceive. I would say to you that the eyes carry so much when you are in a physical reality that it is not surprising that your brain chooses to focus on those aspects of ours, because the eyes in your reality carry much energy, do they not? And they carry the energy of the consciousness looking out of the physical vehicle, and so we are often perceived as eyes or faces, lights, bright lights around those things and little else. You see the size of our energy. Our energy is very vast, as is yours. I will remind you, but you forget to perceive it. On the importance of thought and integrity, Ortan. Now, thought is a most important topic. There is much written on this topic, but we wish to say to you it is very important for you to understand that thought is form, and in some ways, depending on the nature of the being doing the perceiving, the thoughts are forms, and it is this basic notion that is already known in some of your esoteric disciplines like white magic. For thought, love under will is importance, for there is the important focus of love as a creative force, and the concept of love under will, of course, is important, which is done through the idea of discipline, which bridges those two concepts. Discipline is something that is lacking in some of the seekers who are now upon the earth plane, not because there is something wrong with them, but because they have not been shown the joyful route of discipline. They see discipline as difficult, as hard, but it is important that they start to understand that when thoughts are random, when they are uncontrolled, in the sense that the person thinking them is under the influence of the personality, then they can be dangerous, if you like to put it this way, for they can carry the person away through the precedes the actions. Actions then create the form upon the earth plane. So this movement of thought to action to manifest form is an important progression for people to understand. For example, you are hungry and you think of food. You take action. You go, you find the food, and you eat it. And you can be more subtle. You can think of different types of food you would like to eat. Now, the thing is to be careful about what action you take upon the thought. Not to any harm will come to you in a lasting way, but more that it will make things more focused and easier for you to move through. If, when you have thoughts, you always move into a harmonized space, connecting it with the higher aspects of yourself, and you recalculate that thought form or pattern, if you like, and check that it is indeed the one that is most beneficial. And here we come to the issue of integrity. Integrity is most important, for without integrity, of course, you could create anything you wished, but it may be of benefit to you and it may not be of benefit to others around you. And so integrity that manifests upon the earth plane of the concepts of cooperation, caring, nurturing, loving, taking care of others as if they were your own children. For this is most important, to love others, to support them, and your thoughts, you see, dear ones, are the starting points of this. By maintaining a connection with the higher realms and higher aspects of yourself, you can stay in integrity, aligned with higher will and divine energy. Hence, the emphasis we put again and again on moving away from negative thoughts, from thoughts of I cannot do this, I should not do this, I must not do this, or negative thoughts where you think of another. He is not as good to me. He is not very nice, etc. They are not useful. It is more useful to say he is different. I do not understand him. And this will be more useful than saying he is bad. He is horrible. I do not like him. Why does he do this? Leave him. Let him do what he wishes. It is a free will universe. And as we are always saying to you, releasing yourselves from worrying about others in the sense of judging them or trying to figure them out is helpful. The discipline of meditation is very important, and that those discipline and meditations are carried out every day. It is not good people saying, I have no time for this, and that the other, we are saying to you, come, you call, we call you. It is your time. Choose growth. Here is how it may be done. And a simple, easy route is meditation. On the chakras. Questionnaire. Now to a question a little more on the human level. I wish I was not so easily put down by others. I feel that it blocks my success in many things that I do. How can I help myself get over this? Or Tan, there are two aspects of your question. The first aspect is that everybody upon the earth plane has lessons and growth to learn. This is part of what is happening to you here. You are being offered a lesson in trust, a lesson in trusting yourself. This is really what is being offered when these people are putting you down. Letting you trust yourself is a big part of your journey at this time. Learning to have confidence in your abilities is part of your growth at this time. You will not need arrogance, not at all. You can still have great humility, but trust your abilities all the same. Trusting your connection to the higher realms and trusting God to take care of you and your needs, to bring the wisdom that you need to answer a question from another. The other aspect that is noticeable when we have scanned your energy is that some of the lower chakras need more attention. Specifically, the second and third chakras are in need of more balance and alignment. So we could remind or recommend that you spend some time working specifically with chakra energy and addressing the second and third chakras. Even the first as well, for you could be bringing a little more energy through this chakra. There are different routes that you can use to work with the chakras. You are probably well aware of these routes. I will tell them to you anyway. and you can just ignore it if it is something you know. We strongly recommend the use of Reiki with the chakras. Using Reiki into the chakras is very simple, very strengthening, and a direct link to the source energy. We also recommend the use of crystals. The way that crystals can channel the energy through the chakras is very powerful and yet subtle. The vibrations of the crystals is particularly good for this. As you know, the third way is meditation, and we strongly recommend meditation with the energy of the chakras, which will be helpful for you to assist in building your confidence. On souls, the higher self. Does the higher self use the intuition to get through to you? Or Tan? Indeed, for the soul, the higher self and guides, the only route through the mind is through what the psychologist on the earth plane called the right brain. It is through those subtle nudges, whose sudden insights and those feelings that you cannot substantiate, but you know at right. These are the subtle annotations of the other side of the higher self, the soul, and the guide. The connection with the higher self has to be made consciously by the individual, and so that connection you could describe as being like a channel of light that is sent upward from the crown chakra to the higher self. And it has been called by mystics in your earth plane the anti-Karana. The anti-Karana, dear one, is the cord of light between your physical body and the energy of your soul. The building of the anti-Karana is a key process in esoteric tradition for good reason, because it is through this cord of light that you connect fully with the soul and are able to draw yourself fully into union with it. There is a question of the soul moving down and you moving up, for you must remember that the soul is not interested in you at all. You are interested in your soul, but your soul is quite happy. You must draw the soul in. On Guide's view of humans, questionnaire: do you actually see us as humans in human form, or do you see us as light? Ortan: we see you as energy, and you could describe it as eggs. We see you as egg-shaped energy beings. On the soul path, questionnaire: is there such a thing as being on the wrong path? We seem to have lots of choices given to us in life, and sometimes we look back and wonder whether we could have gone along a certain path. Could it be that we are on the wrong path, or should we be on that path to learn those lessons? Or time: there is such things as the wrong path again? Or time: there is no such thing as the wrong path, for all choices are made at the time with the energy of that time, with the knowledge of that time, and many humans suffer from regret and guilt and sadness. But what is the point of these emotions? For we are in the present, in the here and now, and looking back into the past is not a useful practice. Although the lessons will be learnt in the time of the present, they will not be learnt in the past, for they are, if you like, a movement of energy. As you move through it, you are in it. You have the experience and you move to the next experience. Life is lived moment to moment in the present. Dear one, there can be no wrong path and no wrong decisions. All is done in perfection of your soul, and your energy will bring you to have those experiences that will most assist your growth. Your personality may cry out, I do not wish to have this experience, but the soul will inexorably guide it to have the next lesson. If you refuse to have the lesson, if your personality will not integrate the lesson, then you will be given the lesson again and again, maybe through many lifetimes, until finally you accept it with gratitude and with love. And dear one, know that the secret of all spiritual growth is to be grateful to God for all that you are given, wherever it is, and to open your heart and love to all sentient beings. On past lifetimes. Questionnaire. When we talk about lifetimes, often we talk about past lifetimes. Other sources talk about parallel lifetimes. Are we present in our other dimensions simultaneously? Or Tan, of course, where you do think you are, do you think you are a physical body? Your question is, how many lifetimes am I having at once? And where am I? Questionnaire. Yes, where am I? And if I am channeling or changing in one area, how does that affect the other areas? Ortan. Yes, that is a good question. This question of time is a little bit tricky, is it not? You see, when you are born into this lifetime, you choose to be on a time level. You said, I know it's going to be hard, but I will go for it. When you were a soul, of course, you had no idea what this was going to involve. When you came back, you suddenly went, oh yes, I am in the timeline. The timeline is part of the nature of your psychology as a physical being. You cannot be sitting here in this room and having a conversation with me and be in Australia. Not possible unless you cut yourself up, of course. But your consciousness can't do that in the physical body. It has to release itself from the physical body. You, of course, can be in many places at once, even from the physical body. As you train yourself, consciousness has no boundaries, no limits, and no places it has to be. It is only the physical stuff that has the tricky problem here. Do you get this? So consciousness can be in many places, and it is in many places. Your consciousness has a little bit of an awareness of this room, a little bit of awareness of itself and of yourself as a multi-dimensional being of light. That is what you are, and you assist or exist through many planes and places of reality. And so you are going on at once in many places. The physical body is just a boundary that you have chosen to work with. You came here to have the lessons that physicality brings to you. Once those lessons of what is to be is constructed within a dimension, the dimension of time. When people talk of parallel lives, it is perfectly valid. It is perfectly reasonable to see that, because from our perspective, time is not in a line, not linear, and we could say the past is the future, the present is the past. This is very confusing and not useful for the brain to think of. It is, I suggest to you that you think of yourself as a dispersed multidimensional matrix of consciousness being, and that your physical body is such in the timeline. The rest of you, fortunately, is not. So these lines or lives are existing all at once, but they aren't, because they're only one body. On animals. Questionnaire. Do animals get the opportunity to incarnate as humans? Ortan. Interesting question. No. Do you wish me to elaborate? You see, the animals are sentient beings like you. They didn't want to be humans. They are many interesting beings within the animal kingdom, and they like to be animals, and they have chosen service. Many of them have chosen a deep level of service, as you observe how much they suffer on your earth plane, how much they serve you, and what great companions they are to you and your kind. But the animals are part of another realm of beingness, and they don't wish to be involved with the human experience in terms of being it. But they are with you, just as the plants are with you, and the crystals are with you, and the earth is with you. They are different realms, different kingdoms, and different frequencies in the form of the angelic realm. And so when they pass from having a physical life, many of the animals move into being angels. They have those kinds of frequencies of the angelic realms, just as the plants are angelic, just as the crystals are angelic, so too the animals are angelic. So the different realms of beingness are not better, not worse, just different than those souls who have incarnated through the human route. On the soul questionnaire, is there a such thing as an individual soul, or are we all aspects of one soul? Or Tan, that is a good question. There is an all that is source, the basic source from which all has emanated. From one of you and myself are part of that source. You could see us like sparks flying from the fire, and the fire is the source. Each spark has an individual, apparently individualized reality, but it will always eventually come back as it lands and it ignites. The whole thing becomes the source. Do you see what I am saying? You therefore have an individual reality. You have an individual beingness, and you have a total connection with the all that is. For all of us are just one consciousness, or one beingness, if you like, a beingness that has chosen to experience in many different and myriad ways, but all will be drawn back to it, that all that is source eventually, until once again it breaches out and more manifestations will take place. At the present time, you are on the in-breath, and all are journeying home, and is why it is called the journey home. It is the journey back to source. On reincarnation, do we have one individual reality from one incarnation to the next? Or Tan, Earth incarnations feel individual, does it not? That is the nature of it. It is the casting away from source. The further away you get, the more individual you feel. But that is only an illusion. That is, again, to return to this question here. It is the question of enlightenment. Being within this world, being alone, isolated. This is an illusion. There is no such thing as this isolation. Through your channeling, you are starting to sense that you are not alone at all. In our dimension, we are all here, and we are here now. But you just don't see us or notice us, but you're not alone, and your beingness is not alone. You are not separate. You are part of the oneness. Questionnaire. So with early rebirth, there is an individual reality or spark. Or Tan, yes. Well, you know that you're in one. You feel it. You see, you are so immersed in the illusion, you think that all there is, don't you? You're forgetting what you are. This makes it hard for you. For some of the lessons you see are about understanding that and realizing the illusion of that. Our soul on soul groups and soul mates. Questionnaire. People often speak about soul groups, and at this time there is such written about soul mates and twin souls and such like. What are your comments on it? Or Tan, soul groups are groups of souls who, when not upon the earth plane, have perhaps been doing some work together, who have chosen to do some work together, and you are incarnating together. Perhaps through many lifetimes, these soul groups, loosely associated together, will come and be born together, then will meet again and will like each other. They will be friends. They will be colleagues. They will be married to each other. They will have children together, and so on. These soul groups consciously are reborn together. And if you start to look at your past lives, you will start to notice. You'll think, aha, there is so and so. You will recognize them. They may not look the same, but they will know their energy. So there are definitely soul groups of souls who are in alignment. You see, you could say that groups of souls have an interest. Some groups of souls have an interest in science. Some groups of souls have an interest in nature and in crystals and healing. You know, there are many groups without going into long details about these groups, and masters teach these groups when they're not upon the earth plane and when they are sleeping and so on, when the conscious mind is out of the way. And so these soul groups are consciously manifesting. Soulmates, on the other hand, is a different topic. Many who come to readings ask me about their soulmates. Have I got a soulmate? Where is my soulmate? Why can't I have a soulmate? Is a very popular topic. I want more of them. And we observe this and we understand that the desire for union, the desire for the journey home, and what they are really talking about, they are really missing the oneness, and it manifests on your earth plane as a desire for a soulmate. But it is best to go for a partner. You know, the soulmate concept is very alluring, but it is appealing to a deeper need within you. That need is the need for spiritual growth. On disease and suffering. Questionnaire. There is much disease on the planet at this moment. With all the new energies that are coming in, we will see a clearance of a lot of these diseases that we now have. Ortan. Many diseases are caused, of course, by decay within the genetic structure of the body, and it is a natural and part of the process of letting go of the physical to learn that things are born and they decay and they become disease and die. And of course, as you have become more advanced in your ability to heal, people live longer and have even more diseases because they have the diseases of a longer lived body. And this is very simple. In the physicality of your world, it is not perfect. It is not held in perfection, because it is all subject to change, to corruption, to decay, and it is natural. This cycle of physicality is a physical cycle. However, as things are changing, and as I mentioned a little while ago when I was saying to you that the earth is ascending and your planet is ascending, and that your people are ascending, there will be physical changes. And these are the types of physical changes I was referring to, because part of the physical changes will come from your advances and your ability to understand the genetic cycle. And there are great advances taking place and about to take place in your understanding of the genetic cycles and how they work. And this great ability to change the genetic structure of your race is going to be tremendously beneficial. Do not leave your science. Many of your scientists are wonderful channels and are bringing through much information now for use upon the earth plane to alleviate the suffering of genetic disease. Much disease is based within genetics. Some disease, of course, clear, dear ones, is caused by abuse of the physical body. People are abusing their bodies and making themselves sick. That is your choice. We can't take that away from them. They are taking drugs. They are taking alcohol. They are smoking. They are not exercising. All of the things that you know about in the ascension process. Therefore, people will become less ill because they will not choose to abuse themselves. And because of this genetic change that we have mentioned, and because there will be so much more understanding in the next 100 years, your sciences will undergo tremendous changes. And so the answer is yes, there will be less of it. We are finishing now, dear one. Let us just bring our awareness back into the heart. I thank you, each of you, for the beneficial questions. It is of a great joy to me to share energy with you, each of you being a beautiful and perfect channel of light. Spend a moment to tune into your perfection. For from our perspective, each of you is pure beauty. Each of you is a perfect soul, and we observe your struggle with physicality, and our heart is with you in that struggle. For we see how difficult it is for you to be away from home, to be there in that body, and we hold you in our hearts. Farewell.